The flag of Washington's District of Columbia has 3 red stars, one for each city-state in the 3-city empire. This corporate empire of 3 city-states controls the world economically through London's inner city, militarily through the District of Columbia, and spiritually through the Vatican. The Constitution for the District of Columbia operates under a tyrannical Roman law known as Lex Fori, which bears no resemblance to the U.S. Constitution. When Congress passed the Act of 1871, it created a separate corporate government for the District of Columbia. This treasonous act allowed the District of Columbia to operate as a corporation outside the original Constitution of the United States and outside of the best interests of American citizens. A sobering study of the signed treaties and charters between Britain and the United States exposes a shocking truth. The United States has always been, and still is, a British Crown colony. King James I was famous not for just changing the Bible into the King James Version, but for signing the first Charter of Virginia in 1606. That charter granted America's British forefathers a license to settle and colonize America. The charter also guaranteed that future kings and queens of England would have sovereign authority over all the citizens and colonized land in America stolen from the Indians. After America declared its independence from Great Britain, the Treaty of 1783 was signed. That treaty specifically identifies the King of England as the Prince of the United States and contradicts the belief that America won the War of Independence. Although King George III of England gave up most of his claims over his American colonies, he kept his right to continue receiving payment for his business venture of colonizing America. If America had really won the War of Independence, they would never have agreed to pay debts and reparations to the King of England. When Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the U.S. President was made subservient to the King of England. The 13th Amendment is called the Title of Nobility Amendment and forbids U.S. presidents and their officials from using royal titles like king or prince or baron. For some mysterious reason, the 13th Amendment, which was ratified in 1810, no longer appears on current copies of the Constitution. America's blood-soaked War of Independence against the British bankrupted America and turned its citizens into permanent debt slaves of the king. In the War of 1812, the British torched and burned to the ground the White House and all U.S. government buildings and destroyed ratification records of the U.S. Constitution. 1 century later, a corrupt U.S. Congress committed the biggest theft in world history. They passed Paul Warburg's Federal Reserve Act in 1913, handing over America's gold and silver reserves and total control of America's economy to the Rothschild banksters. Most Americans still believe that the Fed, or Federal Reserve, is the government. It is not. The Fed is a privately owned banking system whose majority Class A shareholders are the Rothschilds, Warburgs, Kuhn and Loeb, J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, Israel Seif, and the Lehman Brothers. This private banking cartel is the Fed and is never audited and never pays taxes. They print and design America's money, which displays their symbols of an Egyptian pyramid, a Masonic all-seeing eye, and the words, "In God we trust." Who exactly is the God they trust? They also collect American taxpayers' money through the IRS. Then they loan it back again with interest to pay for roads, bridges, and other public works. Most U.S. citizens believe that the United States is a country and that the president is the most powerful man on earth. The United States is not a country. It is a corporation, and the president is president of the corporation of the United States. He and his elected officials work for the corporation, not for the American people. Since the United States is a corporation, who owns the corporation of the United States? Like Canada and Australia, whose leaders are prime ministers of the Queen and whose land is called Crown Land, the United States is just another crown colony. Crown colonies are controlled by the empire of 3 city-states. At the center of each city-state is a towering, phallic-shaped stone monument called an obelisk that points skyward. In D.C. city-state, the obelisk, known as the Washington Monument, was dedicated to Freemason George Washington by the Freemason Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia. The secretive Brotherhood of Freemasons laid the Washington obelisk's cornerstone in 1848 and contributed 22 Masonic memorial stones. 250 Masonic lodges financed the Washington Monument obelisk, including the Knights Templar Masonic Order. At the heart of London city-state
Can y'all hear me now? All right, good. Got it fixed. All right, so I had to go off and come back up. Are y'all still able to hear me? All right, so I'm gonna start over because y'all didn't hear me. I'm gonna start over. Let me cool, that's good. So let me get back on here. All right, so if you came in late, I played a video. I can replay it for you guys just because I started a little messed up. I'll replay the video. I don't have the full video because I had a hard time finding the video. I had to look all on the internet to find something that matches what I'll be talking about tonight. So I'm gonna replay the video for you guys that came in a little bit late. So that y'all can see what that video was about, but it has a lot to do with what I'm talking about now. Also, I want to let you guys know my husband is up here tonight. He's also known as the People's Voice, and so he'll be co-hosting for the first time. So it's going to be a little bit different. So let me go ahead and replay that video, and then we're going to get back in.
The flag of Washington's District of Columbia has 3 red stars, one for each city-state in the 3-city empire. This corporate empire of 3 city-states controls the world economically through London's inner city, militarily through the District of Columbia, and spiritually through the Vatican. The Constitution for the District of Columbia operates under a tyrannical Roman law known as Lex Fori, which bears no resemblance to the U.S. Constitution. When Congress passed the Act of 1871, it created a separate corporate government for the District of Columbia. This treasonous act allowed the District of Columbia to operate as a corporation outside the original Constitution of the United States and outside of the best interests of American citizens. A sobering study of the signed treaties and charters between Britain and the United States exposes a shocking truth. The United States has always been, and still is, a British Crown colony. King James I was famous not for just changing the Bible into the King James Version, but for signing the first Charter of Virginia in 1606. That charter granted America's British forefathers a license to settle and colonize America. The charter also guaranteed that future kings and queens of England would have sovereign authority over all the citizens and colonized land in America stolen from the Indians. After America declared its independence from Great Britain, the Treaty of 1783 was signed. That treaty specifically identifies the King of England as the Prince of the United States and contradicts the belief that America won the War of Independence. Although King George III of England gave up most of his claims over his American colonies, he kept his right to continue receiving payment for his business venture of colonizing America. If America had really won the War of Independence, they would never have agreed to pay debts and reparations to the King of England. When Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the U.S. President was made subservient to the King of England. The 13th Amendment is called the Title of Nobility Amendment and forbids U.S. presidents and their officials from using royal titles like king or prince or baron. For some mysterious reason, the 13th Amendment, which was ratified in 1810, no longer appears on current copies of the Constitution. America's blood-soaked War of Independence against the British bankrupted America and turned its citizens into permanent debt slaves of the king. In the War of 1812, the British torched and burned to the ground the White House and all U.S. government buildings and destroyed ratification records of the U.S. Constitution. 1 century later, a corrupt U.S. Congress committed the biggest theft in world history. They passed Paul Warburg's Federal Reserve Act in 1913, handing over America's gold and silver reserves and total control of America's economy to the Rothschild banksters. Most Americans still believe that the Fed or Federal Reserve is the government. It is not. The Fed is a privately owned banking system whose majority Class A shareholders are the Rothschilds, Warburgs, Kuhn and Loeb, J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, Israel Seif, and the Lehman Brothers. This private banking cartel is the Fed and is never audited and never pays taxes. They print and design America's money, which displays their symbols of an Egyptian pyramid, a Masonic all-seeing eye, and the words, "In God we trust." Who exactly is the God they trust? They also collect American taxpayers' money through the IRS. Then they loan it back again with interest to pay for roads, bridges, and other public works. Most U.S. citizens believe that the United States is a country and that the president is the most powerful man on earth. The United States is not a country. It is a corporation, and the president is president of the corporation of the United States. He and his elected officials work for the corporation, not for the American people. Since the United States is a corporation, who owns the corporation of the United States? Like Canada and Australia, whose leaders are prime ministers of the Queen and whose land is called Crown Land, the United States is just another crown colony. Crown colonies are controlled by the empire of 3 city-states. At the center of each city-state is a towering, phallic-shaped stone monument called an obelisk that points skyward. In D.C. city-state, the obelisk, known as the Washington Monument, was dedicated to Freemason George Washington by the Freemason Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia. The secretive Brotherhood of Freemasons laid the Washington obelisk's cornerstone in 1848 and contributed 22 Masonic memorial stones. 250 Masonic lodges financed the Washington Monument obelisk, including the Knights Templar Masonic Order. At the heart of London city-state is a 187-ton, 69-foot-tall Egyptian obelisk called Cleopatra's Needle. It was transported from Egypt and erected on the banks of the River Thames. In Vatican City, another Egyptian obelisk towers high above St. Peter's Square.
All right, put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me before I get started. I don't want to get started if y'all can't hear me. All right. Let me go ahead and get this screen up and we're going to get right into it. Okay, so what happens when you are born? Everything from that video is it ties into everything that I'm going to be talking about tonight. So I'm going to be breaking this down, especially for anybody who is like not familiar with why this process is necessary. If you're new to this, there are many people out here who are teaching this, but I am for people who are new. If you don't understand this process, if you don't know that America is a British colony, that is a corporation, and you are being held as a debt slave, if you don't know that, I'm the person that's going to teach you the history behind why all of this is relevant. What happens in the back end to make you a slave? Like, because people just talk about this, but they're not really breaking down what makes stuff the reason why it is. So that's what I'm gonna be doing in this slideshow and all of my other videos. That's just what I do. I give the history behind why we are where we are today, and then I give the solution as to what you need to do to get out of it. But for anybody that is new to this, I just recommend that you do the back end history before you start executing anything, because there's so many people telling you that you can discharge that, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. Yeah, all that stuff sounds good, but you can't do none of that stuff if you're still a 14th Amendment citizen, if you're still a debt slave, if you're still clocking in to make your money. You can't do none of that stuff until you figure out why you're doing what you're doing and understand that you're bound by contracts that you have to rescind. So I'm gonna be going into the back history. I know I talk about this a lot, but I'm gonna be going into it a little bit more detailed than normal, with a little bit more like terminology as to why you are where you are. and really breaking this down to make sense, because that's what I want. I want it to be where you guys can think for yourself and make your own informed decisions. So let's get into what happens when you are born. So what happens when you are born? When you are born, given life, a record of live birth is recorded as testimony of your life, which is your private estate. It is your affidavit of life with details that identify your living, standing, holding private properties. It records your given name as a unique title, example, John, to your estate. Your estate is the land, which is real estate or property of your mind, body, and soul, and all the physical and intellectual property that derives from your living energy, including your inborn unalienable rights. Your mother's autograph is her testimony of your estate. An estate must come before a trust. So before there's a trust, there has to be an estate, because the estate is the property that would be going inside of the trust. So if you attended any of my trust class, or if you heard me talk about trust before, you have to have an estate, have property to put in the trust for the trust to be established. I don't care if it's $1, it's still something that can go in there so that you can establish that trust. In common law, the law of the land, your mother and the state are automatically trustees in an express sovereign trust with you as the beneficiary. So common law, law of the land, is your natural sovereign, the way you were born. If you were born normally and they just recorded your birth, like, oh, well, she had this baby, Mary Doe had John Doe on September 1st, 1991, right? Then that would be fine. You would be a sovereign, and your mother and the state that you were born in, if you were born in Maryland, would be the trustee of your benefit of your trust. I'm sorry, your sovereign trust, and they would be your beneficiary until you're old enough, which is the age of majority, to claim your own estate or your own trust. You are the holder in expectancy, which is the holder in due course of your estate, which will descend to you as of right when you attain the age of majority, which is 20, unless soon your parents are told that you must be registered. They are under no such lawful obligation, but the state is insistent for reasons undisclosed. According to the ecclesiastical law, an estate can only be held in trust by a man. But your mother was asked for her maiden name, which is constituting maternity. Maternity. This is a definition from Bouvier's Law Dictionary, which I really recommend that you guys go get, because you're going to need more than just a Black's Law Dictionary. But maternity definition, according to Bouvier's Law Dictionary, is it is either legitimate or natural. The former is the condition of the mother who has given birth to legitimate children, while the latter is the condition of her who has given birth to illegitimate children. Maternity is always certain, while the paternity, QV, is only presumed. And like I said, that comes from Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856. So that means, therefore, all naturally born children are illegitimate bastards with uncertain fatherhood, having no paternal holder of their estate. They automatically, regardless if your father was present, signed the birth certificate, he just automatically counted out. Okay? Because all they're trying to do is get your mother to establish paternity. I'm sorry, maternity. So therefore, all natural children born are illegitimate bastards with uncertain fatherhood, having no paternal holder of their estate. When registering, an informant unknowingly makes an accusation as to your illegitimacy. Now, here's another definition from Bouvier's Law Dictionary, which is informant. And that is a person who informs or prefers an accusation against another. I'm sorry, that's from Black's Law Dictionary. The Status of Children Act of 1969 in Section 2 says, for the purposes of this act, marriage includes a void marriage. So you are legally a bastard without rights. And then bastard, the fourth definition, according to Bouvier's Law Dictionary, is considered as nullius filius. A bastard has no inheritable blood in him, and therefore no estate can descend to them. So they literally get your parent, your mother, just your mother, single-handedly. They literally get her to sign over your U.S. property to the state, so they can trick you out of a trust that was put in your name against your will that your mother has no idea about. Just so that they can put you down as a bastard, which is someone who's dead at sea, someone who's lost at sea. Moreover, your given name, which is a title, is recorded in the stillborn column at the hospital. A stillborn child is one incapable of living. If they do not, in fact, survive so long as to rebut this presumption of law, they cannot inherit. And that's according to Black's Law Dictionary, second edition. The state can now legally claim your estate, making you a ward of the state in an estates for life, foreign situs trust. And that estate definition, the estates for life created by operation of law are: fourth, jointure. The estate for life is somewhat similar to the usufruct of the civil law, and that's from Bouvier's Law Dictionary again. Jointure, also known as joinder, is similar to usufruct, which is right to derive income from property of another. So they can take income off of your property. All of this is a setup. And this is why it's important for you to know how to get out of these contracts that you put yourself into without even knowing. Because every time that you do an application, registration, all of that stuff is a contract. Anything that's four corners with where it asks for your signature or for you to provide information, especially your social security number, signature, and your full name, date of birth, and all that kind of stuff, that is the information that they need so they can gain access to your trust. The record of live birth is used to issue a birth certificate bond. So your birth certificate is a bond certifying that a property title, which is the title is your name, is registered as a security. So you are property and your name is the title and is registered as a security, means that it has a monetary value. It is a bond. It is like a warehouse receipt for the baby, the delivered goods. The warehouse receipt is a receipt. A warehouse receipt, which is considered a document of title, may be a negotiable instrument used for financing with inventory as security. And that's in Black's Law Dictionary 7th edition. That is, look up warehouse receipt. At the same time, your given name and family name have been registered as a trade name. Now, if you know anything about business, you have the option to have your business name, right? And then you can have a DBA, which is doing business as, which is a trade name. That can be a secondary name that your business can use to operate in commerce. Literally, they register you as a trade name, which means they register you as a business. Okay? Only corporations have a last name. An artificial legal person has been issued by the state as a franchise child of the parent corporation. Do you hear this? They register you as an artificial legal person by using the name that your mother gave you. So your given name and your family name to create a trade name, which is a business, so that they can create a trust and you are the property. You are the estate of that trust. And it's issued by the state as a franchise child of the parent corporation. So you are put in a system as like they have a holder, what is it called? A holding corporation, where it holds all of the businesses and its umbrellas, and then there's other small businesses underneath of that. That's what you are in their system until you change your status, until you rescind the contracts that you put yourself in and take back your power as a sovereign that you are. Now, I don't know what people out here are doing because I only can speak from my own personal experience, but I know for a fact from all of the research that I've done and from all of the footwork that I put in throughout this process, I don't care what nobody say, you cannot discharge debt if you are still in their system as a ward of the state because you are a debtor. You're not a creditor. Now, naturally, in your sovereign capacity, you are the creditor because everything comes from your transmitting utility, but if you're still on paper in their system, you are a debtor. So you're still going to receive bills, and those remittance coupons, no matter what you write on them, they're still going to expect payment from you because you have not fixed yourself correctly in their system to be no longer dead at sea, to become the beneficiary of the trust that was created off of you. So I don't know what people out here telling people, but I'm only going to tell y'all the truth. Now, where am I? The bond is sold to the World Bank, and that's the Bank for International Settlements that was created in 1931 by the Vatican. And they created that 2 years before they took all the gold from the people and did this HJR 192 thing. As settler of the trust, your value to society is calculated using actuarial tables. Your bond becomes a registered security, which the Treasury uses as surety for Treasury securities such as Treasury bonds, notes, and bills. You out here worth money and don't even know it. So you have been monetized. The people truly are the credit of the nation. However, in the corrupted system, the people's credit is effectively human capital or livestock. You're literally just a indentured servant. You're working for income instead of compensation. See, they trick you by giving you words that you don't understand. And this is why it's important for you to go through these law dictionaries and understand that the words that we use, how we use it, like I'm using the word understand, we use it in a different way. Like understand means comprehend to us, but in the court systems, understand and into the public servants like police officers and stuff, understands means that you stand under them. Like literally, they have something called legalese. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. It is a special language that they use in law to trick you out of your rights. Everything they do and give you is to trick you out of your rights, to trick you out of your freedom, to trick you out of your energy. Okay? If you carry your life with that mindset, that mentality, a lot of stuff that you indulge in today, you will stop indulging in because it is helping to fuel this beast that they created. And the only way this beast is going to stop is if we stop it. That's it. There's no way around it. Although the state conceives the baby as a ward of the state, if the state's investment is threatened, its greatest value is realized from the matured working adult. They're not even impressed about taking you because you're already a ward of the state. Yes, we have CPS that takes people's children all the time, right? But they would rather allow you to grow up and become a mature adult that works. They want you in the working system because as long as they have you as a worker, they have full control over what's going to happen to you. And when you die and you did not do this process, they still have your trust. So you're dead. Your family might be struggling to get you a funeral, a proper burial, and they have all of your assets held in a private trust that you don't even have a clue about because you're worried about stuff like the Super Bowl. We have to come out of their system. If you want Babylon to fall, you got to come out of it. It's not going to fall if you're in it. And if it does fall while you're in it, you're going to reap all of the bad things that happens when it does fall. So at what point are people going to wake up and realize that every day that you waste in this system is a day that they gain because you are the capital that they are banking on. They can't do anything without you. This is why they need your consent. The perpetrators of this deception knew that you could one day discover the truth and invoke your power of attorney from the age of 18, which is Property Law Act of 2007, Section 22, Section 1. Person between 18 and 20 years may do certain things. C, except appoint or act as an attorney. 22.2 says has the same effect as if the person were 20 years old. In short, you can attain the age of majority at 20 by declaring your own power of attorney from the age of 18. So if anybody in here has a minor that will be 18 soon, this is what you want them to do. You want them to declare their own power of attorney at the age of 18 because by the time they're 20, they'll be at the age of majority. You know, and then that way it'll be easy for them to claim their sovereignty back because they've proven they're at the age of majority. So they're no longer dead at sea and they're no longer a ward to the state. But if they can somehow kill you off, again, legally speaking, they can continue to hold your deceased estate titles, real property, which is lands, property, personal property, life, and spiritual property, your soul. Because you gave up all of your capital to their corporations. Literally, y'all should know by now that it's only like 3 corporations that run the damn world. When you reach full legal age under the Admiralty Maritime Jurisdiction, which is the law of the sea, you become eligible to register your estate as a vessel navigating on the Sea of Commerce, with you as the master, which is Mr., Ms., or Miss. Your vessel will have a legal person name such as Mr. John Doe in all caps. As the master, you will be the liable owner while the state retains the equitable title of beneficiary as the registrar. So they switched roles with you. They took they tricked you and your mother out of signing you over by creating all of these systems that you had to go through them to get privileges. First of all, I don't need a driving privilege from you if I can travel without any of that. I have the right to travel just from being born. That's in the Constitution. I don't have to go to your DMV and fill out an application, which is asking for something that belongs to me, just to get a registration that you guys give me, which is also me requesting something that belongs to me already. I'm going into your system because you made us believe that we had to get a driver's license to be able to drive. Yeah, to drive to in commerce when you're doing business, but not personally. I don't need that. I have a sovereign right to travel. You will probably voluntarily forfeit your estate. You may start work and register as a taxpayer, or you may enroll as a voter on a voting registration. If you decide not to register, you have gone to sea. And if you are missing for 7 years, you are declared legally dead. So they're banking on you not finding this information out. They're hoping that you stay ignorant so that you can keep watching their Super Bowls, keep in engaging in their Grammys and all of these little award shows to make you feel like you have some type of freedom as a slave. They give you every choice that you make, they give to you. Does that sound like somebody that has free will? Does that sound like somebody who has sovereign capacity to do what they want when everything they give you comes from them? This or that. And that's the only choices you have is what they give you. It's an illusion. Everything is an illusion. They make you feel like this is the land of the free, but this is the land of the most slaves. And not only are we slaves physically, but we're slaves mentally because we can't even see through the mental prison that they put us in. Because when you hear stuff like this, it scares you. And it shouldn't. This should empower you to get on your shit. The same process is applied to ships and mariners lost at sea. To avoid court proceedings, the Chesapeake v. Act of 1666 simply declared that everyone is dead after an absence of 7 years unless they return to claim their estate. After 7 years, you died without a will, intestate. So someone is appointed to manage your estate/trust. The public trust applies to the family court to manage your estate under the Protection of Personal and Property Rights Act of 1988 in Section 2. Former PPPR 6 application for order to administer property. Under the first sovereign trust established by your mother, you are the holder in due course of your estate and a future creditor. You're a future creditor because currently you're not. Currently you're acting as the debtor. Okay? As a private man or woman, you are the beneficiary or executor of your common law estate trust, and all oath-bound officials are your public trustees. So a trustee's job is to make sure that they do things that benefit the beneficiary. So everything that they're supposed to be doing is supposed to be at our benefit. Unfortunately, because we switch roles with them, now we have to supply them with things that benefit them. And this is why we pay bills. This is why we pay bills. But under the new Foreign Situs Trust, the state gains the equitable title of beneficiary to your estate, while the legal person has the legal title of trustee. Like I said, they switch roles. You become the trustee and they become the beneficiary. So you as the trustee is liable and the legal person is a debtor. The legal person is your name in all caps, what they created for you as a trade name, as a business. Any man or woman who mistakenly takes responsibility for the legal name, person or name, and which is the all caps name, and its debt, steps into the role of the liable trustee as surety for the indebted state. The state has turned the tables on you. That's why you're paying bills. This is why remittance coupons won't work for you. This is why 1099 A, C, B, whatever you're doing, this is why none of this stuff will work, because they know this. And this is why it's so important to do the process that I tell you guys to do, because that's the way to reverse all the stuff that you did. That's the way to reverse it so that you can become the creditor again. Then when you go do those 1099s and those remittance coupons and all that stuff, it will work for you because you won't have the status of the debtor no more. You won't be in joinder with the all caps name, so they cannot contract with you. Literally, you're no longer in contract. I know you guys have seen like videos of people get pulled over by police And they be talking like, I have no contract with you, I'm not contracting with you. Literally, that's where you want to be. The people by registration, also known as legislation, are employed by the state as debtors for a private banking cartel, which is upheld by a private bar association guild, which is the law society, which is all of the people that are in the legal system, attorneys, lawyers, all of those people they tell you to trust with your personal business. They are all part of a private bar association guild. While acting in the legal fiction role of your corporatized name, you will receive endless presentments, which are bills, which that employee of the state, the legal person, which is straw man, is obliged to settle. This is why you can be evicted. This is why they can come and repossess your car. This is why they can deny you of food stamps. But the theft of your estate is based on false presumptions that cannot be proven in fact. The fundamental flaw is that in order for a birth certificate to be issued, a man or woman must first have been born of the land. Plainly, you are not really dead. So you are still the living holder in due course of your estate title. Under the Cestui Que Vie Act of 1666, 4, if the supposed dead man proves to be alive, then the title is revested. So they're literally telling you that if you can prove that you're alive through the processes of rescinding all of the contracts and putting on the record that you are living by trademarking and copyrighting your name, by authenticating your birth certificate, it's a whole lot of stuff you guys already know. And if you don't know, I'll tell you how you can find out. But once you do that, this is their own writing. This is something that they wrote. According to the Cestui Que Vie Act of 1666, if the supposed dead man proves to be alive, then the title is revested, which means that you will then become the creditor again, and they will become the debtor. You will be the beneficiary again, and they will be the trustee. This is why you have to give them the fiduciary duty. You have to give it back to them because currently you have it. Now, with this government, the whole idea is the government took the gold, the true money from the people. If you guys took the true money from the people, how do you expect us to pay with something that has no value? And the reason why they tricked us into this is because they made us believe that, okay, we took this, but now you have to go work to get money. When you work, you're going to get this money, and this money is going to be how you can pay for stuff. They didn't explain to you that the money that you're using is a fiat currency with no value, backed by nothing but your labor. So the only way that you can actually pay somebody is by giving up your blood, sweat, and tears, because literally what you're paying them with is not even valuable. So them taking that is literally them taking a negotiable instrument, no different than you drafting a negotiable instrument up and sending it to these companies. But you can't do that because your status is not right. Once you get your status right and you come out of that jurisdiction, you can do whatever you want. You can create conditional acceptances. You can create your own contracts. You can literally go to a company and get credit from them and tell them how you want them to distribute the credit to you, because you have the standing to do that. Remember that only you have a birthday on which you were born into the world from your mother, whereas the artificial legal person has a date of birth on which it was registered by the registrar. This is why I be telling y'all about the file date on your birth certificate versus the actual day you were born. There are two different dates on your birth certificate. One of those dates is the date that that your name became a business. That is the registrar. That is the date that was registered. I mean, of the time that you were registered by the registrar of the state. That's not the same. Go and look at your birth certificate. You'll see it. Normally it says file date. These two events usually have different dates. Like I already said, this is a maxim of law. He who fails to assert his rights has none. So, and they also like to say that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So they're telling you just because you don't know does not mean you're exempt. It doesn't matter. If you don't enforce your rights, you don't have none, because we're going to take them. Literally. Now let's go over what the birth certificate is. The birth certificate is a title that was created by the state, which is a vessel, which means you were birthed with the word E. Birth, like when a ship is coming in off of the waters, that kind of birth. When it's about to dock, that is the kind of birth. That certificate that the port, I can't think of the name, but the people that come in, the Department of Transportation, the Port Authority, that's their name. The document that they ask for, which is the manifest the captain of the ship, that manifest reads all of the cargo that's on that ship and the value of that cargo. That port authority has to see that before they can allow the ship to dock, because if it's something that's not valuable or illegal, you can't dock, and they're going to call the marshals to come get you. But if it's something that is I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. If it come back, I'll get it back. But let's go back. So we're going to talk about the birth certificate and the title created by state. So, like I said, it's a vessel that is birthed, delivered. This is why you have to be delivered in a hospital. A hospital is a public corporation, but it's privately handled. So their affairs are private. This is why certain things that happen in the hospital that you can't know. This is why before you can deliver a baby in a hospital, you have to sign contracts, and you don't got time to read them, because guess what? They give you these contracts while you're in the middle of contractions, while you're about to have this baby. You're about to have this baby, and they're telling you to sign documents, and you don't even know what you're signing. This is the private stuff that happens in the hospital. You can jump in. You can jump in. I'm literally talking about how to operate private. So I don't see where your confusion is, but literally you have to tell this whole story of how all of this happened. This is law. I didn't make this up. This is the thing. It's too many people online acting like they made this shit up. None of them that is teaching this made this up. This is not our stuff, okay? This is public knowledge that all of y'all here can go and seek for yourself. However, you don't. You come to people like me. So if you feel like somebody else is for you, you can go find that person, but this is not the place for that, okay? I know what I'm talking about because I've done the work, and I'm proving to you guys that everything that I'm talking about is solid, because I'm not the only one that says this. This is not information that I made up. Now, back to the birth certificate. So, an informant autographs as indictment that you have no paternal holder of the estate. So, like I said, your father, even if he was present, he don't even matter. The state only worried about getting your mother to sign that paper. That's it. Then the registrar signs your estate into probate, and you become a ward of the state. Your name is registered. Commercial trademark is legally registered, combining your given and family name. So they take the given name, which is your first name, and combine it with your family name, which is your last name. Like I said, corporations are the only thing that has last names, not people, not sovereign people. And then they create an estate trust under a trade name. The format is typically all caps, as on a vessel, gravestone with a fictional title. Example, all caps, Mr. John H. Doe, but can be any first and last name, but it has to be in all caps. I can barely see this. Hold on. The highest or most comprehensive loss of status change from one of freedom to one of bondage is your first and last name, and that is in Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. Now, the Foreign Situs Trust is formed by legislation when an artificial name is registered in the law of the sea. This trust splits your estate, all property, into a legal title, which is the trustee for the person, and an equitable title, which is a beneficiary for the state. This is a temporary trust because you can become holder in due course of your estate. Then the legal owner with liable, you will be the legal owner with liable legal interests. Now the all caps name is a debtor, not a creditor. I don't care what nobody on this internet is lying to you guys and telling you. A lot of stuff that they have you guys doing is illegal. And if you keep fucking around, they're going to get you bonded up in something that you can't get out of because you keep on trusting people who are only in it for money, and they're not telling you something that is so simple. I don't understand how people keep getting confused about how it's not that hard. Really, it's not. You're under contracts, and all you got to do is take yourself out. That's it. That's all. Why is there so much confusion and people saying, oh, you can do this without doing this? Yeah, but you're risking going to jail because you're still under their jurisdiction. So if you do something and they don't like what you're doing and you get caught up, you're going to get locked up. Not the person who did the shit for you, because they know what they're doing. They do it all the time. That's how they live in their life, off of your money and your ignorance. Like, I don't see what people don't get about that. And you have people like me who are really trying to tell y'all the damn truth, and people just be like, oh, you're like, I didn't make this up. I'm not about to sit up here and act like I invented this information. This is not my information. I don't know why people on the internet acting like they invented this or they came up with some special way. No, people is scamming, point blank period. And I don't care how nobody feel about it. I know this for a fact. And this is why I'm in this, because I don't trust people. This is the reason why I started this for myself, because I don't trust people, because people lie. People get money and they check their true colors show. Their heart, what's inside of their heart comes out when they get a couple of dollars. They stop caring about the people and they only care about money. They don't care about actually freeing people or teaching people how to think for themselves. I'm literally going back into the history and bringing this shit up front, showing you guys I didn't make this shit up. This is something that was going on before I was even thought of. This is a system that you have to understand. And the best part about it is you're understanding it from somebody who knows business, because I have multiple businesses. So I can talk to you from both standpoints, because I know what a negotiable instrument is, because I make negotiable instruments. I have a trucking company. That's how we get paid. A bill of lading is a negotiable instrument. So I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not up here just talking for fun or for a couple fucking dollars. When are y'all going to realize that the truth is right in your face? When it's gone and you can't find it no more? Like, literally, I didn't make this shit up. Now, a foreign situs trust is formed by the legislation when an artificial name is registered in the law of the sea. This trust splits your estate, all property, into a legal title, which is a trustee for the person, and an equitable title beneficiary for the state. This is a temporary trust because you can become holder in due course of your estate. The legal owner with liable legal interests. The person, name in all caps, is a debtor liable for debts, surety for a corporate debt. The debtor trustee is a taxpayer, resident, voter, limited residence, income, and address. All of that stuff is corporation stuff. This is why when I have you send out some mail, I tell you guys a certain way to address your envelope so that you can be outside of their jurisdiction, because literally all of that stuff matters. When a police stops you and they ask you what your address is or your place of residence, they're trying to trick you into giving away your jurisdiction. These are words you need to know. This certificate is a certification of a bond with a World Bank as settler of the trust. This is a birth certificate. The original bond becomes a security that is traded on the market for your value. Foreigner. You're a foreigner. Under the birth certificate, you're a foreigner. You're a vessel trading on the sea of commerce under Admiralty Maritime Law of the Sea. This is why they use the 7-year thing. This is why in credit, things fall off in 7 years, because that is a sea. That's a law of the sea. That's when you understand maritime jurisdiction and you understand like how they operate on the sea. 7 years is the time that you have to be missing for them to declare you as dead. This registration converts your estate into a tradable property and puts you to work for the foreign state trust via the all caps name. And it's a title claimed by state, which is a false presumption, claim, and contract. Now, on the other side is the live birth record, which is a title created by life. Just because you were born, it says baby born, and you are endowed, not delivered. Your mother autographs as testimony that you are holder in due course of your estate. Your mother gives maiden name, which indicates a bastard later stillborn on the register. The appellation is recorded. Given appellation is lawfully recorded in testimony of your estate property. Now, the estate title is appellation. Now, the estate trust is the trade name. And I'm going to go into that in the further slides so you can know what the difference is. The format is proper grammatical English. Example, John Henry, with not in all caps, just the first letters in all caps, the rest in lowercase. Of the family Doe, or the unique given trust title, John Henry. Now, I did my genealogy report, and I looked at some of the census records from my ancestors, not even that long ago. I would say like early 1900s, 1800s. And literally, they all were their name was like that. Like, it was, I'm just going to give you an example. It would be like Michael of the Sample Trust, or Sample family. That's what it say, Michael of the Sample family or something like that. So it never had a first and last name. It would just tell you what family or lineage they came from. Or if it was a tribe, it would be like such and such of whatever tribe. So that first and last name thing came from the colonializing of this when they brought the corporation and all that stuff over here. Like I said, I was looking at genealogy from early 1900s, 1800s. This is before they came and bought the banking system. This is before 1933. This is before all of this stuff came into play. So this lets you know that all of that stuff is tied in. Now, the lowest of least or least comprehensive degree or of loss of status is a rights of liberty and citizenship. I can't see that. And that's John Doe in lowercase. That's in Black's Law Dictionary, second edition. Now, the sovereign trust is created by your parents of a living soul when a given name is recorded in the law of the land. At 18 years, you can claim the full title over your estate, which is all your property, by becoming the beneficiary, the executor holding your reinvested estate. This is a permanent trust because you have a lifelong right to claim the full title of your estate. So no matter if you're finding this out when you're 80 years old, as long as you can go back and come out of these contracts, you still can bring this back. It's a lifelong thing. It's not going to go away. Even for like people that has already deceased, it's a lifelong thing. It still can be done. Now, you are the beneficial owner with ultimate controlling interest as under the live birth record. Man and woman is a creditor and can create wealth because you have power of remedy. You will be known as the creditor, executor, grantor, national, elector, unlimited. Abode is what you would call where you live. Remuneration and location. Now, this record is used as evidence for a birth certificate that certifies a bond issue. So if you decide that you have a child and you don't want to get the birth certificate and you don't want to have them in the hospital, whatever, you would get a live birth record. That is what you would want. And that's just somebody witnessing the birth and documenting it. This includes your birth weight in ounces used to calculate value of tables related to gold. Hold on one second, y'all. Hey, I'm looking over these comments. Y'all don't be rude. Stop being rude. Like, we grown. Everybody in here to learn. We not in here to discredit nobody. We not in here to disrespect nobody or nothing like that. I'm about to go through these comments because I know y'all that get it is listening. Y'all get it. Some people in here some people are so unhappy with their everyday life that they like to put it on other people. Don't take none of that stuff personal. That don't belong to you. That's their shit. Let them keep it. We know what we in here for, and we know who we are, and we know why we doing this. So we not worried about haters. It's always gonna be haters when you doing stuff like this. Trust me. Imagine how many of them I have. All right, so let's go back in. The record is used as evidence for the birth certificate that certifies a bond issue, and it includes your birth weight in ounces used to calculate value in tables related to gold. Because literally, you're very valuable. And you would be known as a sovereign instead of a foreigner, which is a man or woman born free on the land and living in common law of the land. This record documented your estates, which can then be stolen, but it is also an affidavit of life and proof of claim. And it is your inherent right to title was a potential holder of the sovereign estate. You are not a name, but you have been given an appellation as a title for your life to be called by. Your given appellation, which is your given Christian name, also known as Christian name, is your unique estate title. Example, John/John Henry. You are given this title for your life, which is your private estate. Your estate is the land or property of your mind, body, and soul, and all the physical and intellectual property that derives from your living energy, including your inborn unalienable rights. Your family name is also known as the surname. It's not part of your unique estate title. nor is it a one-of-a-kind proper noun like your estate title. Instead, it is a shared and generic name for your family, clan, or tribe. It is a grammatically different plural noun, and therefore it should not be semantically joined to your unique estate title. Example, John Doe. By doing so, your estate is corrupted. So let's go over the difference between your name and the appellation. So the name is a noun, verb, or plural noun, and it is a maxim of the law. I can't read that because that's Latin, but it means a name is, as it were, the distinctive sign or signifier of a thing. Example, John Henry Doe in all caps is a legally registered vessel, which is also law of the sea, which is admiralty maritime jurisdiction. Now, appellation is a noun or proper noun, and the definition of an appellation is the title or name of someone. An example of an appellation is the name Tom, just spelled with a capital T, and the rest is lowercase, and that is in Webster's dictionary. And that would be John, like I said, with the capital first letter, the rest is lowercase, hyphen Henry, and that is a lawfully recorded estate, and that is under law of the land, which is common law jurisdiction. The ancient Greeks bore only one appellation. Example, Aristotle. I know you guys know who he was. That was just his name, Aristotle. He didn't have a last name. The Romans added a description including race, religion, family, which is the surname, and even the branch of the family. This was the custom into the Middle Ages of Europe when the title and description was written in proper grammar. Example, John of the family Doe, or John the carpenter of Oxford. Like I said, nobody went by a first and last name. But when governments introduced taxation, a surname was required after the given appellation, thereby creating a registered artificial legal person subject to legislation. In England, this began with a poll tax or a per head tax, which was levied irregularly from 1275 onward, especially to finance wars. Compelled to pay taxes, free men were coerced into contracting with the state and thereby acting as double name legal persons employed by the state in the service of the bankers who exerted hidden influence over the crown. And if you guys don't know, all of those bankers were sent over here as criminals because they owed debts in England and they were guilty of usury. Usury was illegal and you had one or two ways to get out of it. You could either repay your debt or you would die. That's it. So the bankers came up with an idea when they found out that there were people living on the land over here. They came up with an idea to be able to pay England back. Now, the thing is, they were only supposed to be over here for a short period of time. However, they outstayed their time. They stayed out here longer than they were supposed to, which is why they have committed crimes against humanity because they went overboard. They were only supposed to be here to pay off their family's debt so that they wouldn't die for the crime of usury. All of them are criminals that came over here and started this country. So how can we expect them to do things the right way if they were all corrupt from the beginning? All of those bankers from England were criminals. Your given appellation and your name and your family name joined together is a publicly registered artificial legal person, a business. Just like you got to register a business and get that EIN number. That's 9 digits. It looks just like a social security number. Come on, you got to put 2 and 2 together. After you are born, the state creates an artificial legal person by combining your given appellation, which is John Doe / John Henry, typically with your patriarchal family name, example, Doe, registering it into existence, often on a date subsequent to your birthday. And the funny thing about that too is that they didn't even go off of, this is how you know all of this was set up to put us in a system to pay off their debt, basically, because we never went off of our paternity. We always went off of maternity. You are what your mother is, not you are what your father is. Even the Jewish people to this day, to be considered Jewish, you have to have a mother that is Jewish, not a father. We understand that the lineage is actually passed down through the mother, not the father. So we didn't have to give the father's name for the father to be a part of the child's life because that wasn't even how things were set up. It wasn't even set up like that. When I say you got to go into history, you literally have to go into history as to how things were operating before they came here, how things were before they got here. We had bartering systems. We didn't have a currency that we traded. We had a constitution. We had a constitution before they corrupted the constitution. After you were born, I already read that. Where am I? Okay, so the written style of the artificial legal person's name is commonly the all capital letters double name, example John Doe, often prefixed with a fictional title such as Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Example Mr. John Doe in all caps, denoting the master of the John Doe vessel in legal commerce operating under the Admiralty Maritime International Law of the Sea. However, regardless of the written style, any double name created by combining a given appellation with a family name always forms an artificial legal person, example John Doe, and John Doe in all caps are both artificial legal persons. An artificial person is established by the double name, assisted by the date and place of its creation by registration. Keep that in mind. Registrations, applications are us giving away our rights or begging for them. The artificial legal person, also known as the persona, equals the mask. It is a character created by the state to perform various prescribed statutory roles in the theater of commerce. And if you really sit back and think about how they name everything, what they name it, even down to like TV, and they call it channels and stuff, television, like you got to think about how they name things. They're telling you, because universal law trumps everything, and they know this. We don't, because they told us to be afraid of things that we don't know. Right? Universal law trumps it all, and they know that they cannot get past that. So everything they do has to tell you without telling you so that they can gain your consent. Like I said, there's different types of consent. You have informed consent, implied consent. It's so many different types of consent. And like informed consent is when they're telling you without telling you. So that's when they tell you the truth in plain sight, or they tell you the truth mixed with lies. They're still telling you, they're still gaining your consent. And then you have implied consent is if I do that to you and you don't say nothing, then guess what? I can keep doing it, which is the maxim of the law. If you don't enforce your rights, you have none, right? They know these things, bro. They know all of this. And this is what they use against us. In legal terms, an artificial legal person can also be a straw man, which is a third party name only front in a transaction for the purpose of covertly taking title to real property. A straw man is created by legal registration on the birth certificate without disclosure, joining the given appellation and the family name, forming an artificial legal person, estate trust, to provide surety for the corporate debt of Your Nation Inc. And I'm only saying Your Nation Inc. because that's just a generic name for the corporations that's running this shit, right? Consequently, people unwittingly act in the role of the artificial legal person, and that makes you the trustee. That makes you the debtor, not the creditor, not the beneficiary. So you can't sign anything as a beneficiary if you're not really a beneficiary. Because right now, on paper, according to them, because you're a taxpayer, you're a voter, you're a driver, you're an employee, because you're all of those things, you're a debtor. You have to pay presentments, which are bills. This is identity theft by semantic deceit. And anyone deliberately practicing this deception is guilty of personage, the crime of knowingly representing a living man or woman as a legal fiction, a form of corporation such as a legally registered artificial person, trust, public utility, society, or foundation. The crime of personage is routinely compounded by barratry, the crime of bringing false crimes in court, which is what they do when they make you go to court for something that is in the name of the business, your name in all caps. They make you go to court for something and pay for something that doesn't even belong to you, but they trick you into taking the responsibility because you create joinder with the all caps name. Now, the crime of bringing false claims in court, the term barratry appropriately comes from the Bar Association. A living identity, you get this? It's the way, look at these words, is established by a given name, which is a title, and information that is proof of life, which is your thumbprint. This is why they take the sole of your feet prints when you're born. And it's actually more deeper than that as well as to why they do that, but that's just also another layer to it. There are very few occasions when the state needs to establish your living identity. The state does this when a baby is born without disclosure in order to obtain legal title over the baby's estate. Evidence of the baby's living identity, such as a footprint, like I said, is placed on the record of live birth with other details that confirm a live birth. This proves that the baby is the living holder in expectancy, which is the holder of in due course of his or her estate title, which can then be conveyed to the crown via the registration of estate trust, which is foreign situs trust on the birth certificate, which is a security bond for the state's IMF obligations. Now, you guys, if you don't know, IMF is a company that the IRS is under. They are the ones who created the IRS. They're the ones who are in charge of the IRS. The IRS is a privately owned corporation. It is not government, and the IMF are the ones who own them. You do not got to pay taxes, by the way. The only reason why you pay taxes is because you opted in. Now, an artificial legal person represents you in legal fiction commerce in order to transfer your consent into the legal jurisdiction. If you act in the role of the legal fiction person, you become an accommodation party invoking consent by joinder, as I said already. Acting in the role of a fictional legal person obliges the actor to follow legislated scripts. I'm also going to be talking to you guys about how the courtroom is set up just like a theater. I'm going to be breaking that down to you and like really good detail to let you guys see how much of this is all a play. This is why back in England and back early in the early 1900s and stuff like that, and I think it's like the 1800s and 1700s as well, but this is why they wore costumes in the courtroom. They used to wear powdered wigs. The judges, they used to powder their face. Like, they dressed up for the job because literally they know that they're in theater. They know that they're acting. This is why they wear robes. Now let's go over the difference between the surname and the identity. Now, the surname is a prefix meaning in addition to the name and a designation of an individual person or of a firm or corporation. And that's according to Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. And a name is a maximum of law, and I told you this is Latin, so I can't read it, and it means a name is, as it were, the distinctive sign or signifier of a thing. And the maximum of the law, names are the marks of things. And another one is names are the symbols of things. Now, the family, clan, tribe, father, patriarch, when joined after a given name, the surname forms a trade name, the crown, a legal person or personality, a corporation. I hope you guys understand where I'm going with that. Now, the identity is Latin short term for that word there, which means the same. And it means existing identity, evidence, sameness. And that's according to Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856. Now, the difference between name and appellation. Now, appellation is the definition of an appellation is the title or name of someone. An example of an appellation is the name Tom. Appellation is defined as the act of giving a name to someone or something. An example of an appellation is the act of two parents choosing a name for their new baby, according to Webster's Dictionary. Appellation is also the given name, also the Christian name, example John or John-Henry, which is a given name plus the birth registration number on printout, which is the estate title identity. Back on the surname side, you have person, which is an entity such as a corporation that is recognized in law as having the rights and duties of a human being, according to Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition. A human being is a monster, a human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal. A monster hath no inheritable blood and cannot be heir to any land, according to Ballantyne's Law Dictionary, 1930. Now, what do they mean by a human being is a monster? What they mean by that is that as long as you live on the lower half, which is the lower, and you guys don't have to believe me, but they know what we don't know. And they know universal law and they know spirituality. Now, what makes you an animal is that you live in the lower half of your chakra systems. You are carnal. You only know how to do things on the lower end of the spectrum. This is why they're able to keep you dead. When they say you're dead, they know you're not really dead. They're saying you're dead because your third eye is calcified. It is not open. You cannot see. And as long as you can't see, then you're dead because you can't operate the right way. You can't operate in sovereignty if you're dead. This is why I be fussing about people entertaining the media and the Grammys and the Super Bowl and award shows and all that kind of stuff, because that is the things that people in the lower end of the chakra do. You are entertained because you still see things as entertainment. When you are ascended, and you become a sovereign, and you're operating from the higher half of your chakras, from your crown chakra, when you're operating from there, then you see things because your eye is illuminated. You can see right through all of the entertainment, and you want no parts of it because you realize it's nothing but a distraction to keep you a slave. If they make you feel good while you're a slave, you will continue to be one because you have no reason to leave the plantation. This is why people say, oh, like in movies, when the slaves, and I hate slave movies, but in a slave movie, there always be a group of slaves that want to plan a revolt, and you always got the one slave like, why would we leave master? He treat us so good. Yeah, they're making fun of us. They don't care about us being different nationalities. They know that we're dumb. And as long as we're dumb, they can keep us against each other with race, religion, politics, and all of the rest of the stupid shit that when you're operating in your carnal nature, you pay attention to, or you think is real. You think that this life is real. You don't realize that this is a hologram, and it's holographic, and all of this stuff is a system that was created for you to make you believe that you're something that you're not, and to make you believe that you're here to do something that you are not here to do. You're not here to work. You're not here to slave. You're not here to be a servant to anyone. You're not here to serve, but they teach you that you're here to serve because they give you the religion that tells you you're a servant. And if you're not a servant, something's wrong with you. However, they can live the life they want while we live in hell. And they tell us we got to die to go to heaven while they're living heaven on earth. What sense does that make? Off of our backs. And we let them because we still so wrapped up in religion. We still so wrapped up in race. We're still calling ourselves black and white. Colors out of the crayon box. We're not crayons. We're sentient beings with a purpose, with a mission to be here to help others, to spread love and to care for one another. But we lost that because we're so low. So as long as we operate on the blue side, as the surname, as the corpse, as the walking dead, as the monster, a human being, that's what we'll be. And that's how we'll be treated. You can't fight for rights if you don't even know you have them. You can't fight for rights if you don't want to enforce them. You can't fight for rights if you're not ready to break free from the mental paradigm that they put you under because they taught you everything you know. And you got to realize that you went through their school systems. The same banking families that I just told you were over here to pay off their debt so they wouldn't die because they committed the crime of usury are the same ones who created that school system that taught us what to believe, how to feel, and what to think. And if you thought any different than what they said in the school system, you had a learning disability. They had to put you on medication because something is wrong with you. You don't think like everybody else. You're weird. In actuality, you're not the wrong one. Everybody else is. Now, back on the surname side, that means that you're a public servant that needs permits. This is why if you want to have a party in a public park, you got to go get a permit first. You can't just go and set up your party and just have it, and they can shut your shit down. This is why. You're dead fiction registered on your date of birth. You're the ens legis, a creature of the law, an artificial being as contrasted with a natural person, applied to corporations, considered as deriving their existence entirely from the law. And this is in Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. Everything I'm telling you guys, I'm giving you the references to go look up. I always want y'all to fact check what I say. Don't believe it because I said it. Believe it because you know, not because I'm saying it, because you know that what I'm saying, you feel it. You know that something's wrong. You look around and you just look and you can't even have a conversation with people about this. This should let you know that there's something wrong. People will literally bite your head off if you talk to them about this and they don't understand it. Something wrong. Now, grammatically, natural person is synonymous with artificial person because person overrules natural. In the context, that which follows controls that which precedes, and that's in Bouvier's Law Dictionary of 1870. Therefore, natural is null and void, and a natural person does not exist. Example, real cartoon. You're a real cartoon right now. Now let's go on the identity side, where you see man and woman, and that's masculine and neutral. And the feminine is born equal, sentient, living, flesh and blood, soul, endowed with an unalienable rights. Just because you were born, you have the right to eat. Just because you was born, you got the right to healthcare. Just because you was born, you got the right to somewhere to live, shelter. Just because you were born here. Any human being is a man, whether he be a member of society or not, whatever may be the ranks he holds, or whatever may be his age or sex. And that's according to Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856. Now, you'll be on the identity side, you're a private sovereign that serves notices. You don't need no permits, because I'm telling y'all what y'all need. I'm going up to police officers and auditing them because I can do that. I have the jurisdiction over them to do that. I have diplomatic immunity, right? And then living fact born on a birthday, not a date of birth. You're the sui juris of his own right, possessing full social and civil rights, not under any legal disability or the power of another, or guardianship, having capacity to manage one's own affairs, not under legal disability to act for oneself, according to Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. Your own master, your sovereign man or woman. You need nobody over you. You don't need a leader. You do not need a teacher. Everything you need, you can do for yourself. And that's what I continue and will continue to tell you guys. On the surname side, you're granted privileges and benefits, like they tell you. Driving is a privilege. No, it's not. Well, you know what? Driving is a privilege because driving is commercial. And commercial is on the false side, right? So yeah, driving is a privilege, but traveling is not. Traveling is a right. I'm not driving, I'm traveling. And I have the right to do that. I'm not the reason why y'all come up with all of this stuff. I'm not the reason why y'all have cars that can drive fast enough to kill people. That's not my fault. However, that's my mode of travel, and I'm traveling in it. And I do not need your permission to do that. But when you go to the DMV and register and you do that application, you're begging for your rights. And they're not even giving them to you. They're giving you privileges that they can take away at any time. On the blue side, you're only recognizing de facto, which is court of commerce with statutes, which is greed, ego, argument, dishonor, and dispute taker. And that's all on the low half of your chakras. That's all on the carnal side of you. That's the monster side of you, the dead side of you. And that's debt money per sweat equity, which is accommodation party debtor. You're an accommodation party debtor, meaning that you slave away for debt money. You slave away for something with no value. And they taking all of your more so than just your labor, but your intellectual property, your mind. That's more than anything. Your mind is a terrible thing to waste. Ain't that what they told you? But they're using it for you because they know you're wasting it. You must, as a surname, as a 14th Amendment citizen, you must use debt money notes and serve as surety. And increase in every time that you use a debt money note, you know those numbers that's going up that won't stop, the national debt clock? You're increasing that debt in a deadly economy that can explode at any minute because you keep using them the way you're using them, right? They don't tell us this. They want us to keep doing it because they know we're going to implode a system that benefits them anyway. That's the whole purpose. Excuse me. That's the whole purpose of them coming over here. Because they knew that's what they were coming over here for. They just was trying to save their family line. And that's exactly what they did. And this is why I say when the knowledge is available for you to take the same blueprint that they took, take it. They created the system and they're telling you now we have the ability to know what they actually did, which is a beautiful time to be alive, really, because a few years ago, you could not have this conversation with just anybody. But now it seems like people are starting to open up more where you can talk to people and they kind of already, they feeling it, but they can't put their finger on it, but they know something's not right. You know what I mean? Anytime that you're living in a country that can bring bring people over here illegally just for the sake of bringing people over here because they know that they can make debt slaves out of them, that says a lot. That says a whole lot. When you have a state like Texas standing up and saying enough is enough, that means the rest of us need to follow suit because Texas is not playing with them. And I'm right behind them. Now, on the identity side, you have unalienable rights, which is properties. And they only recognize in the jure, which is the court of justice, with a jury, fairness, spiritual, peaceful, honorable remedy giver, which is chancery court, right? Chancery court is based on that. It's based off of those supreme laws that are given to you as the sovereign just being born here. Your credit is innately endowed. You're a secured party. You're secured party. You're the creditor. Now, when people say secured party creditor, you can't be a secured party creditor. We know all of that, right? But we're saying 3 words because you become the creditor again. So that's the reason why we say creditor. Secured party means you're secured. You're secured. You have the security to be able to discharge your debt. You're a secured party. We're not saying you're a secured party creditor like you're all 3. You are all 3, not like simultaneously together, but you're all 3 literally. You are the creditor again. You are now a secured party. This is why this process is so important, because once you get that back on paper and you rescind those contracts, you can act as the creditor that you are. And you're the one that's extending the credit. So if they deny you, they owe you. And that's when you can take them to chancery court, because then it's all held in justice with a jury. It's done honorably. It's done with a chancellor. It's done with respect to your unalienable rights. Versus if you're, going to the court of commerce, they just trying to collect. That's why they're literally a bank. Think of the word bank. Think of all these words that they use to describe this system. So the word bank is associated with water, right? Everything they say is associated with water because we're under Admiralty Maritime Jurisdiction. That's it. And it all makes sense. Like being birthed, at the hospital, delivered, vessel. Think about it. All the words they use, it goes back to that. Now, let's go back to the identity side. You can use promissory notes of credit using your autograph. Your autograph is your credit. So then you can sign as the beneficiary and it'll actually work. And it reduces debt in a living economy because it's holding them responsible for their responsibility. They're the trustee. We're the beneficiary. We shouldn't be paying anything. You guys took the money from us, not the other way around. So we shouldn't have to pay anything. Even though this is the end of the presentation, I'm not going to end it just yet. I think I could let like maybe 2 or 3 people come up. We can have a short discussion. But I just want to say this information is vital to freeing yourself from this corrupt system and to help you act as a sovereign you are. If you're interested in learning the steps that you need to take or more about this, you like how I teach, whatever. If you're not a part of my community already, you can join my private community at patreon.com. Sorry about that. /Divine Trust Babies. Or if you need a step-by-step or you're somebody that needs more support and you need things put together where you are held accountable so that you can get it done, you can join my academy at divine-trust-babies.trainercentralsite.com/course/Divine Trust Babies Academy. Or if you don't want to join any of that stuff and you just want to buy some of my courses and content and see what I have to help you out wherever you are in your journey, you can do so at linktr.ee.com/Divine Trust Babies. Other than that, that's the end of the presentation, but I'm gonna open it up. Anybody want to just come up, and I'm gonna put the StreamYard link in the chat if you want to just come up and discuss. You can, but I just want you guys to know the back end stuff so that you can be helpful to yourself. Never just trust what people say and do. You got to do it for yourself. And if I can help as much as I want to help, I can do as much as I want to do. But if you're not, if this is not something that you want for yourself, then I can't do it for you. But I just put this out here so you guys can know the back end stuff, because a lot of people is out here misleading people, and it's really sad, and I hate it. I do. But the StreamYard link in there, y'all can click that if y'all want to come in. Other than that, if not, then I'm gonna just go ahead. All right, we got somebody up. You can unmute yourself. How you doing, Rochelle?
Hey. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm hanging in there. It's definitely been a roller coaster. Officially, I wanted to say that I'm supposed to be getting my authenticated birth certificates back. They should be in the mail since Monday. So fingers crossed. Um, I don't know. Everything had went out, so I didn't hear anything at the end.
Say that one more time. I didn't hear you. My earphones turned off.
That's what I was saying. Like at the end, I didn't hear what happened. Um, but I was saying that my authenticated birth certificate should be coming back from the federal level. They're supposed to be in the mail since Monday. So, yay!
Yes, forward progress. That's good. That's the beginning part of it. That's the longest part, to be honest.
It really was. Like I had done it since last year.
Yeah. I had to do my whole family's over because when we sent it out for federal, when they sent it back, it got lost in the mail and they could not locate it.
I had some issues, like because I had went through like a paralegal, who were like filling it out for people and stuff, so to make sure it got done correctly. Um, the first time the Fed said that they didn't send the check with it, and so they rejected it. And then the second time they said, "Oh, you got to fill out an epistyle." And so it's kind of been back and forth, but it's officially in the mail starting since Monday, so I'm happy about that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Forward motion, was better than nothing, but it's a process and it takes time. But the fact that, you just even start in the beginning of it is a lot because most people get discouraged and be like, this is too much.
Ooh, tell me about it. I had went through a bunch of scammers. I've been, next thing you know, like I got put into a situation. I got hurt at work, so then all that happened. It's been a journey. It definitely has been a journey.
Yeah, it gets better though. Don't worry. It's gonna get better. Trust me.
Oh,
If I
definitely.
stay and told everything, it's definitely a journey for sure.
Like ever since I was following you on TikTok, that's how I found you at first. And it's like I was just like trying to soak up as much information and still dealing with stuff that was happening in my life. And then I was finally able to get into the class with you. And I was like, yes, finally somebody that actually
I know. That's how when I first got into this, that was the main thing for me. It was like I couldn't find anybody that was trustworthy that I could be like that I could call a teacher, because I felt like everybody who was talking about it was giving information kind of like the same and it was kind of regurgitated, and then the ones who were giving stuff that seemed a little bit different, it still seemed like a whole lot was missing, and I'm like, somebody's lying.
right? Because I know like the first people that I was with, they would give like half truths. And then they'll go back, like if you go back to their next class, they're like, I never said that. It's like you got a whole recording.
Yes.
Saying it.
Yeah. And that lets you know like they can't be doing this process. It's no way. Because if you saying you didn't say that, and how all of us are not going to be saying you said something you didn't say.
Right? But then you put all your stuff on, like you was putting it on TikTok, and then you turned around and you started putting it on YouTube, and it showed you that you said it.
Yes.
And you're gonna say, I never said that. Why would I tell you that? That's what we're trying to figure out. Why would you tell us that?
Exactly. And that's the biggest red flag for me. And then when I only spent $70 on one class. I never bought nobody else's material after that. And that class was so full of half truths. And me at the time being new to this process, even I knew that it was like, I was like, bro, this is not right. It's a lot missing. This sounds too good to be true.
Like, one of the things that really had got me was when they were like, oh, well, I'm going to tell you this, but go read it for yourself. And it's like, but you just said that they use legalese. And if somebody just started this, how would they know the legalese to go read it for themselves?
Exactly. And that was my standpoint, was for like people, like when I said, when I first got into this, it was all new to me. And my thing was understanding it all. How can we put this together to make it make sense? I'm like, it got to be a story as to how we ended up to this point. What is the backstory as to why we're here, so that I can make sense of how we're going to get out of this? And that was my thing, was because in high school, like, history was one of my favorite subjects. So me learning law and all of that stuff, it came so natural to me because I already was studying it on my own anyway. I got a credit repair company where I was already studying like
The
consumer law, consumer law and stuff like that. So I was already like, okay, so I know there's some truth to this. However, where is the disconnect?
Right. Like, when I had to start doing this arbitration for when they stole my vehicle, and I was finding out that, you know, all I had to do was, when I had protested the first time, they were supposed to take me to the judicial process, and they never did. They just came back another day in the middle of the night and stole my vehicle. Well, I'm in Louisiana, so it's the moment that I protested once, it became a breach of peace if they came back and stole it, because I'm supposed to protest before they took possession of the vehicle, which I did.
Right.
So I'm holding that for arbitration, but I put it in my back pocket because I'm like, you breached the peace, because I went and did a CFPB complaint for it, just to get it in an official, federal, like, make them make a federal what am I trying to say? Like a report where it says that I protested, and that makes you with knowledge that I protested, and you never return my vehicle back to me. So it's like, now it really shows how these companies be using these statutes. And I was going through, and it's so funny, because I was just starting the equity replay through the academy. And one of it was like, equity follows the law, and equity would not allow a statute to be like a cover. And I was like, that's exactly what they're doing, though.
That is exactly what they're, and it, like I said, they're using our ignorance and then telling us, oh, ignorance is no excuse of the law.
Right.
They slapping us in our face all the way around.
Because, like, I even told them, I was like, UCC 9-704 says that if you don't have a perfected security interest, then you only have 1 year of enforcement. And I've had this agreement for 3 years. So you still never perfected it. So then their attorney wants to come back and say, oh, well, under UCC 9-311, we're under a different statute. Well, in Louisiana, see, that's one of the things, like, people really got to, like, compare the federal and the state.
I always say that.
In Louisiana, it literally says that if you have a certificate of title, you have to go through and comply with the revised statute 9-501, which literally states that through a financing statement only do you have a perfected security interest, and you have to file it with, here is the Department of Motor Vehicles. And I'm like, you just put a nail in a coffin for yourself.
That's all they do every time. And when you notice, and that's what I love the fact that you're well versed in these laws, because when you notice stuff for yourself, you can choose your own remedy.
Because pretty much I'm gonna try to get them for a nice little pretty penny. I even found their what they call is the forward flow purchase agreement, where they already had an agreement to sell the contract between the two intermediaries.
Oh, you found that?
Yes, I did. It was not easy, but I found it.
Yeah, you gonna be good. Yeah, that's the evidence that you really need right there. If you're gonna slap them in the face, you got to prove that they're gonna sell your contract. And that's right. That's what they do. That's all they do anyway. They get you to sign these contracts. They get you in these contracts. You don't know these contracts are negotiable instruments that don't have an expiration date, and they just trade them and trade them and trade them and trade them and trade them, even if they take the property from you.
And another thing I also got that in my because for the people that are watching, that your contracts are also, for car contracts, they're also considered money loan purchase agreements. They are also governed by 16 CFR 433.1 and 2. So the definition is in point 1, but then the deceptive or unfair practice or act is in 2, and they have to give you that notice. Mine does not have that notice, and that makes it automatic unfair practice or deceptive act.
Yes.
And I'm like, y'all really just handed it to me.
Listen, if people did what you do all the time, they would see how common this is. They do this every day.
It's like, it's a struggle because, you're sitting here, you're waiting, but while I'm not allowing it to like overwhelm me or anything, I do what they do, right? So I start at 8:00 in the morning because, the Almighty wakes me up at like 6:45, 7:00. So I do my little spiritual thing, and then I start at 8:00 in the morning. I do my research, or I fix my little evidentiary letters and stuff like that. I'm putting my exhibits together right now with all of this information, including the Uniform Commercial Code, their definitions and all that. I do that 8 to 4, and then I leave it alone. One of the things is you can't allow yourself to get bombarded and constantly worrying about it, because when you start worrying about it, you're like, oh my God, did I do this? Did I do that? And then that's going to start manifesting in the way it goes. Like me, I'm like, once I found all of this stuff, I'm like, oh, I got it. I told my dad, my fiance, my friend, like they all kind of been like my support system, and they're like, dang, like you should have been a lawyer. I was like, if I would have been a lawyer, I couldn't help, because according to Juris Secundum number 3, my first duty would have been to the court and not to my people, and that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be for my people. And then when I found you,
we street lawyers.
Right? When I found you, I'm like, oh, I just found somebody who, I'm going to really get and pick her brain a lot, because I'm over it. I'm over it. I see too many people struggling. Like, I'm still not out the woodworks, y'all. Like, believe me, I'm not out the woodworks. But it's the fact is that I have this in my back pocket, and I am so pushed. And I have to thank you, Divine, because if it wasn't for you, I really was about to give up. Like, there was a time where I was just like, did I make the right decision? Like, should I have just paid it and then just been done with it? But then you had posted something, was like, you make your own manifestations. And it was a time back in it was like August, September, where it was just negative. Everything, I was doing it to myself.
Yeah.
And then I started on my spiritual journey, and my friend, she's into like divination and stuff like that. And so I finally had my first tarot card reading. And literally it was right before the new year, and it told me that my 9-month my 9-month karmic cycle of negativity was coming to an end. And with that, and then what you were saying, it kind of just gave me that extra push that I needed to come back.
Oh wow, I'm so glad to be a vessel to be able to. I'm
starting to cry. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't cry.
No, it's happy, because you've really given me that sense that I'm really on the right path, and I'm trying to get my family out of this cycle. And it's really,
you're gonna do it. You're already doing it. The knowledge that you are spitting right now, average people don't know this. You're already doing it. Every step that you're taking in this process, even with you still being at the beginning, is a step more than you had yesterday. So just remain present and keep the course. You're doing the right thing. You are.
Definitely, and I appreciate you. And I'm also starting another class with a different academy to do herbalism. So I'm really getting into, allowing herbs to really be your medicine. And
Yes.
I've actually helped some other people. So, if y'all ever need any information, I actually have. I'm gonna send you a picture of it. I have an encyclopedia that I had got from Barnes and Noble of all of the different types. Not all of them, because I think I have volume 4. I think I have volume 4 of it. But it has most of any dis-ease that you could get, and it gives you the herbal remedy to cure it. So, well,
Yes,
can't say
yes.
cure, but to help with you.
Right, you can't say cure, you gotta say treat. But definitely, yeah, share some of that information. And are you in the Telegram group?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
you can
will
share,
take an email.
you can
I will
definitely
take a
share
picture.
some of that. Yeah, because I'm a big herb user. I'm big on herbs. I don't know if you were in a group when I was doing weekly study sessions, or I was doing like an open discussion every Tuesday, but I had did one about parasite cleansing and what to use and stuff, because all of this is tied together, bro. Like all of this go together.
You want to talk about it. So one of the best parasite cleanse that you can do is you need to go on an all fruit diet. Well, I did like fruit
Yes,
and then vegan,
yes.
but you really want to do an all fruit diet. They say you want to do it for about 2 weeks, but I would suggest you do it for a month, because 2 weeks takes enough time for the adults that's in your body to die off. But when they die off, they lay
The
eggs.
babies still, yeah, and when
And
they die, they lay a lot of babies.
and when they hatch 2 weeks after that. So that's why you want to do it for a month. But what I had seen is that somebody did this trick, that it was like a Native American trick, where they took frozen castor oil, and they froze it, and they took it and put it in like a pill. If you take that, that kind of like softens up that area, because the castor oil barely makes it through your intestinal, no, through the acid that's in your stomach. But by it being frozen, it's thawing out. So once it gets to that sphinx area where your stomach meets your intestines, there is a bunch of them that sit there. So that's what the castor oil fights.
I use castor oil every day. That's a really good thing to use. But what I always tell people, like if they doing a parasite cleanse, not to go hard, because
Yeah,
it.
no.
But like the first time I did it, it made me so sick.
Ooh. The first time I did the fruit thing, I only did it for 2 weeks. But when I tell you, the hardest part, they say, is day 3. I was at my most energetic. My skin was clear. Like I could go to sleep late and still be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed early in the morning.
Yeah, because
Um,
it's like you get this reservoir of energy.
it's weird. It's so weird. But I would say, like, I recommend that to everybody. I'm like, if y'all really suffering from something, just do all fruits for 2 weeks. It's like you jumpstart your body again. And I when it's hard to when you try to transition back to meat though, because my fiance was doing it with me, but he was cheating. So I had like literally these tiniest piece of his hamburger, just to like try to not allow my body to go too far off of meat. I was sick. Ooh, I was sick.
And like now, so I haven't had meat in a while. But if I try to eat it, my stomach doesn't even know how to recognize how to break it down no more. Like I get extreme gas, like painful gas, where I like my stomach be so messed up for a while. So definitely, if you do decide to go fruit and vegetable, know that you can't just jump back on meat. You got to
Yeah,
walk your way back.
when I did chicken, I threw it up within an hour. The only one that I was able to keep down was seafood. Like that was the only thing that didn't like bother me coming back to meat. So, I mean, I'm about to get off of it again because it's not working for me. And I've been resonating, like my vibration is so high right now that I think that I would be twice as high and easily to manifest if I would just get off of it and go back to the fruits. So I'm probably going to do that once I can get into that food stamps, because food is high.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm having a 25% off sale on all my content and courses. If y'all interested, it ends tonight.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go check it out.
But thank you for coming up. I appreciate you. I really do.
Thank
Thanks for being a
you.
part of the community.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night. I don't know how to.
All right, yeah, I got you. You too.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's say if I correct my status, I can discharge. That's meaning, can I use my credit card for any service products courses you provide? So it's more to it than that. You can get unlimited credit on your credit cards, but it's a whole lot more that you have to do before you get to that point. Like, you got to completely remove yourself from the public and become completely private. So it's a whole process where once you do get to that level, you will be able to use credit for that kind of stuff. While waiting for the authentication, what other steps can be done? So you can do the passport, you can do the SS 5FS, you can do the rescind your driver's license. It's a whole lot more stuff that you can do. The FOIA request, even though the FOIA request has been having some issues because they know what we're doing. Don't think they don't know that we out here trying to get this done, and we using the similar verbiage to get these FOIA requests to come back. And so what they did was program the AI system to catch that verbiage, and once it catch it, it spit out these generic responses. We found out a way around it thanks to some people in my group, but unfortunately that didn't last. So we still trying to find out another way around the system, because now they spitting out those generic responses again. Rashaya, if you're still in here, can you repeat that CFR code? Can you put it in the chat? I got this exact same sense tonight listening. I'm not the I'm not the crazy one like I've been told. Right? Finally, we not the crazy one. I've always, me and my husband, we always been the conspiracy theorists of the family. Javarion, are you on Patreon or the Academy? Because I only have that group for people that's in the community, just so that it can, like, we can keep the scammers and stuff out. It's too many scammers out there. Yes, Wormwood and Black Walnut Hall is the best, along with Cayenne. What's the other one that we use when we make the tincture?
For what?
For parasite cleanse.
Oh, it depends what type of.
It's some other ones. I can't think of them, but all right, she put it right here for everybody who want to see this. That's the codes right there. Yeah, they changed. I know they have changed Vital Check. When you go to choose the reason why, it's a apostilles or authentications. That is not there no more. So you got to choose legal or law or something like that. You on Patreon? All right, I'm gonna repost the what's it called? The Telegram link tonight, because I posted it on there, but for me to tell you to go look for it would be too much. So I'll repost it so you can join the Telegram group. But it's a lot of support in there. It's people that's got through this process a little further than others, and they they made it far already. Like, some of them already got 5-star passports and stuff, and they're just telling their experience. And this is people that have been with me for a while. They went through the academy. They like making steady progress, and they helping people, along the way. That's why I love this community, because everybody helps everybody. It's not like one person gets something and then just act like everybody all that. Like, we all help each other, whether it be something one person don't understand. I'm not, and the good thing is about it is I'm not always able to, answer the question, but it's always somebody that answers it, and 9 times out of 10 they be right. So that's what I like about it. We all be helping each other. So I'll repost it when I end this, so you'll be notified. Cayenne olive oil and lemon juice. Yes, that's good right there. That's good stuff. I use castor oil too every night. I put castor oil in my belly button. and sleep with it, you guys should try that. It's really good, especially for women. Or passport. I have my passport book. Just waiting on my card so I can submit. There you go. Steady progress. That's what I like to hear. But we all gonna make it together. We're all gonna get to the end as long as we keep fighting through this. Because I know, life is lifing, and we got bills, we got stuff we got to worry about. But we can't allow that to stop us from getting to the end, because now we know that this is real. We know this now. But other than that, I will see you guys on. I think I'll probably do another one of these maybe next week. I don't know yet, but I'll let you guys know. But I know we have an open discussion Friday coming up, and I'll post that. But it'll also be on YouTube from now on. I'll probably be doing the lives on YouTube because it's easier for me to do it this way. And then outside of that, we'll be having open discussion. I mean, we'll have Q&A on February 27th. So if you want to get your questions in, go in. If you're in the Telegram group, you'll see the link so you can get your question in. If you're on Patreon, you'll see it. And also on the Academy, I emailed it. You'll see that the link for you to get your question in. The question has to be in at least a week before the session for it to get answered. But this is so that people that have questions don't have to book consultations or nothing like that. You can just get your questions asked all in one spot. Answered all in one spot, and that's how we'll go from there. Other than that, I just hope you guys have a great night and an abundant week. And Trust Class 2 is Sunday. Regardless of the Super Bowl, you got to choose what's important to you. We're still getting that done. And then other than that, I'll be in touch with you guys. Have an abundant week. Thank you for being here. And let's get to freedom together, because we are divine trust babies.